What is up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing, I guess it's a special unboxing? Not terribly, but today we are going to be unboxing the brand new Playmates Godzilla X Kong The New Empire Shimo with Ice Blast. Shimo is like already become a legendary figure within the fan base. Shout out to director Adam Wingard for conceiving the creature, and shout out to concept artist Jared Krzyzewski for designing it. Shimo has had this legendary legacy that I can't even begin to wrap my head around. I don't know where the Shimo hype began or why it is as huge as it is today. It's just a new monster. It's just like any other new monster. It's like no different than if we were getting a Muto, you know? It's like Scylla, Methuselah, the Skullcrawler. They're all new titans for the MonsterVerse, new Kaiju. None of them hit it off the way that Shimo has, and maybe it's because Shimo's like kind of a Toho type boy. Shimo's got a very Toho styled power as seen with the Frostbite Blast, and Shimo also has a very Toho like design. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it's like kind of a throwback to the classic Kaiju we used to get back in the day. I don't know, but what I do know is that the figure is out. Here's the figure. People treat it like it's a spoiler. Shimo's not a spoiler. Shimo isn't a spoiler. There's nothing spoilery about saying there's gonna be a monster called Shimo in the movie, because we're not supposed to know what Shimo does in the movie. So the only reason you might possibly think Shimo's a spoiler is because you know the role Shimo plays. Shimo's not a spoiler. Shimo's just a brand new monster that's gonna be in the movie. We've never even heard of a Shimo before, so how could it be a spoiler? Well, anyways, here's the new Playmates figure. I was so hyped to see this thing in the store. It's just so hard to find. I haven't even found a Scar King yet, but the fact that I found a Shimo, I'm blown away by that. As always, I really like the Godzilla X Kong packaging. Back of the box, Shimo blasting the ice beam. That's pretty cool. Frostbite Blast, I guess that's what they're calling it. Fully articulated, and then a bunch of the other ones down there. Like I said, I haven't found the blue Godzilla, nor have I found Scar King, nor have I found Suko and Doug. I can't find those guys anywhere. On the back here, it says Shimo with Frostbite Blast, a legendary ice titan with unstoppable world-ending powers. Shimo faces Godzilla and Kong with a devastating Frostbite Blast that can freeze opponents in battle. Here's Shimo out of the box. Here's the tail for Shimo. The tail is a pretty iconic silhouette in and of itself with this pitchfork tip on it. This titan was first teased to us in the Call of Duty Operation Monarch Warzone crossover. What a crazy way to first tease a titan. You had to put a lot of force to get the tail on, by the way, so any little kids out there trying to put the tail on, they're gonna struggle, but it does go on very nice, and then it's pretty sturdy. It's much sturdier than the Godzillas have been, though it doesn't have a ton of range before it's going to pop back out, so beware of that. This is a pretty solid toy. It's got a really nice in-hand feel. It's hard plastic, but it doesn't feel like the fragile type of hard plastic, although it probably is. Don't drop it off of something too high. He's got really nice range of motion. It benefits from the fact that I haven't seen Shimo in the film, so I can't really judge the movie to Sculpt design. Maybe it's not accurate at all. Shimo did come with an Ice Blast accessory. I was a little worried when I saw the top of it where it's going to plug into the mouth. I was a little worried it was a reused Godzilla Atomic Breath sculpt from the new Godzilla with the pink atomic breath. It's not. It's a brand new sculpt. It takes a similar style. Both of them feature that explosive tip that plugs into the mouth so that it can spill out around the jaw, which is a fantastic thing that they've done with these new figures. It looks aggressive and powerful, very much the same way that the new pink atomic breath did. It's not kind of wavy and warpy the way that the old ones were for the Godzilla vs. Kong line. It's really cool. I'm actually really happy with the sculpt on this thing. Again, it does benefit from the fact that I haven't seen the film yet, so I can't judge based on the movie, but Shimo has a really nice face sculpt with a lot of good texturing. He really looks bumpy. There's a lot of muscle texture to it. The nose is well defined. The ridgeline on the forehead is well defined. They've done a really good job adding texture to this thing overall. He kind of looks like cottage cheese. He kind of looks like if cottage cheese came to life, but they've done a pretty good job with it. He's got these little turtle teeth that are sticking out there. That's really neat. Those are individually sculpted, so that's pretty cool. I like the neck spines. Going into the body, really unrendered Playmates body. Guys, what are we doing here? But I do like that at the very least, they've added a ridgeline going across his side where he's got a little definition to him. His underbelly is really well sculpted. It's funny because actually for Shimo, the underbelly is better sculpted than the back of him. And you can see that there are two different pieces of plastic. There's a really smooth one, and then there's a really well textured one. Especially down here where you get different scale patterns, and then you move into the chest with different scale patterns. It's also interesting holding him that he's kind of got this concaved chest. I know he walks on all fours, but he's kind of concaved and he's sucked up his gut a little bit, which very interestingly is exactly what's happened to Godzilla after his evolution. So I'm wondering if Godzilla's evolution is going to be triggered by meeting Shimo, and Godzilla is going to evolve to better reflect the Titan that he's got to fight. Seems like it might be what they're doing. The tail continues with the pretty good sculpt. I do like the tip of the tail a lot. They've done a good job with that there. The arms and legs look really nice. Lots of good not only muscle texture, but also scale patterning. And I like the way that there's different scale patterning clashing into each other. As far as the back crystals, they look awesome. They don't have a lot of texture. It's not like Godzilla's spines that have like really detailed textures in them. I think that's because in the movie, they're not going to have a ton of texture to them anyways. I think they're going to be like crystals sticking off his back. I wonder if they'll glow. That'd be cool if they do. Same with the crown on the top of the head here. As for the paint job, it's pretty basic. I don't know much about Shimo, so it's going to be hard for me to really judge the paint. There is a render of Shimo that's floating around, and it's maybe got a little bit more blue to it, and that comes from a different toy packaging that's not yet released. That toy was just seen at a licensing expo, but it looks like Shimo's got pink crystals on that, so I don't know if Shimo's crystals are going to change color, Mothra style, or what's going to go on there. It's just white. There's no painting anywhere. It's not like they've done any shadows or highlights, nothing like that. We do have a painted tongue. It's pink. That's nice. I do like that. The teeth are painted a little yellowy, which I really appreciate. The eyes are nice and blue. The crown being this translucent blue crystal, it's great. Same with the back. It's this translucent blue rubber. It adds a lot of color to the character overall and makes him really pop. And then on the tail, they've done a nice job where they've painted the top of the tail blue, and then it's got a small gradient as it fades into the white. So that's good. For the articulation, we've got one point in every single foot. The legs move. The arms are actually double jointed so they can kick out and to the side, which is neat. The legs cannot. The legs can only go forward and back. The tail, it's not a ball joint, but it just doesn't have a wide range of motion to it, and it's in this arced position, so you can't do a ton with the tail. The neck has a lot of mobility, which I really appreciate. You can do all sorts of crazy posing with the neck. You can get them to look pretty side to side, which is something that you don't really get out of kaiju toys very often, so that's cool. And then the mouth opens and closes, so a pretty decent range of articulation. 11 points of articulation, 13 if you count the double joints. That's pretty solid for a Playmates figure, and the places they've added the articulation work really well. For our figure comparisons, I wanted to get out the Bandai Creations Anguirus 2004 because I kind of feel like design-wise, Shimo is just white Anguirus. He's the MonsterVerse's new Anguirus. They're very similar looking kaiju. They've both got the crowns on the head, they've both got the spiky backs, they're both four-legged, they've also both got the frilled tails. I have a feeling that Krzyzewski was heavily inspired by Anguirus when designing Shimo. Shimo's basically like if Anguirus got ice powers and then had a little crystal infusion. Not meth, literally crystals. But the two of them, they have similar silhouettes, even side by side they've got similar silhouettes, and I think they're cool. Having the two of them side by side, it is a little noticeable that Bandai is just a higher quality toy brand, but no other Shimos on the market, so you're the king of the Shimos. Playmates, you've done the king of the Shimo toys, you killed it guys, you're the only one. And I want to see them interact. I wonder if Shimo's going to take on a bit of an Anguirus-like role in the MonsterVerse where he kind of becomes Godzilla's buddy. If this ain't the MonsterVerse's pairing of Godzilla and Anguirus doing a buddy cop duo, I don't know what is. I guess we'll wait for the next movie when Godzilla, Kong, and Shimo go on an adventure together. Just keep adding friends to the list like how the Bat family is ever expanding. Here's Mechagodzilla. I only wanted to get him out because it was the other Krzyzewski invention, and you could just beat the two of them up. I don't think Mechagodzilla would actually win this fight. I don't know if it's going to go very well for Mechagodzilla. Either way, there's the two of them together. I picked this Mechagodzilla because it's the one with the beam, and because Shimo's got the frostbite beam, which looks pretty cool coming out of the mouth. You can't open the mouth too wide or else you kind of reveal that it doesn't plug in quite as well as it maybe did with the Godzillas, so keeping the mouth closed actually gives it a little bit more of a Toho-styled look and also makes it look a little better on the figure. Now these two can do a beam battle. I don't know who wins, but Mechagodzilla's beam is so flabby that I don't think it's gonna win. Here's Shimo and Kong. I don't really know if these two are gonna interact a ton, but there's the two of them together. They look pretty solid together. Shimo's obviously a Godzilla-styled villain, but it is gonna be cool if Kong gets to do like a big fight with Shimo just because it's a very different type of monster for Kong to be fighting. Although if Shimo can freeze his opponents, Kong's gotta look out for that. That's not gonna be good. So there's the two of them, and then we've got Godzilla over here. Here's the brand new Godzilla and the brand new Godzilla opponent. If we're getting a Kong opponent in the form of Scar King, it's kind of cool that they gave Godzilla opponent in the form of Shimo. They're for sure doing a beam battle in this movie. They're so bright and vibrant. Shimo's spines aren't as bright as you may think. You'd think that they'd be a brighter colored blue like the beam was, but they're just so wild. I was thinking today how crazy it is that this movie even exists in the first place. It's just such a wild concept. Godzilla going to the center of the earth to fight a giant monkey and a giant ice lizard. So strange. And now they can do a fight. Body bag. There's your Godzilla X Shimo. Playmates has clearly stepped up the Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire line, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty neat. And also, look at how freaking wide that guy's jaw can open. Look at that. That's some Godzilla SP type stuff right there. Shimo with Frostbite Blast. I think it's a pretty cool toy. I think the design is really cool. Kind of a cool Toho-styled throwback. I like the new power that comes with it. The white and the blue contrast really well together, so it looks very cool. Literally very cold. Overall, I'd probably give the Shimo with Frostbite Blast an 8 out of 10. The only thing that could have really been done better is this upper body portion that's not textured could have been textured. I wonder if that was just so that you could get away with moving the arm like this, so that you had a full range of motion with it, where if you had more texture, you'd kind of bump and grind on the body as you went. But they have that double joint, so his arm can move just as well, far removed from the body, so there's no real excuse for it other than that Playmates often doesn't have the definition in their sculpts that you'd hope. 8 out of 10, pretty solid figure, cool looking Titan. I can't wait to see this guy in action. I'm very excited for this guy. What do you think about this? Do you guys have Shimo? Also, what do you think of Shimo in general? Are you hyped to see Shimo? Comment down below and let me know. And do you think Shimo is kind of like the MonsterVerse's new stand-in for Anguirus? Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons over on Patreon that I'm able to make videos like this in the first place, and that I'm able to get figures like this to review. So I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.